Hey, everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're focusing on something I know a lot of you are working on and thinking about.
Yeah,
Using English for global success.
absolutely.
Now, we've got a really interesting mix of sources for this one.
Yeah.
We've got a YouTube video that's aimed at Filipino call center applicants.
Interesting.
We've got a blog post from a Brazilian developer.
Wow.
We've got a little snippet from a podcast that talks about fluent English.
Okay.
And we even have some tips from an interview coach.
It's amazing how English kind of touches so many different fields and career paths now.
It's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really global.
Yeah. And so I think what we want to do in this deep dive is not just help you understand how important English is in the job market,
Right.
but also give you some actionable
Yeah,
tips to improve your skills and your confidence.
I love that.
Yeah.
Empowerment through language.
Okay. So let's start by tackling that elephant in the room.
Okay.
The big fear that I think a lot of people have, which is, I need perfect English to succeed.
Right. And that's something that we see a lot.
Right.
And what's interesting is all of our sources really emphasized effective communication over perfect grammar.
So it's more about getting your message across clearly than stressing over every little grammar rule.
Exactly. And the expert in the YouTube video who's focusing on helping Filipinos prepare for call center jobs, he uses this great analogy. He's like, imagine you're ordering a coffee. You don't have to use perfect grammar to get your latte.
As long as they understand you want a latte, mission accomplished.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And we see that playing out in a professional setting, too, with the Brazilian developer.
Oh, yeah. His blog post was so good.
Yeah.
He was just saying, look, my coding skills are what got me this job in an American company.
Right.
My English is just the tool that I use to share those skills with my colleagues.
Yeah, it's a great example of how English fluency can really unlock these opportunities to collaborate and contribute on a global scale.
Yeah. He even mentioned using Grammarly, which I thought was a good tip.
Great stuff.
Even small steps, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It can make a really big difference.
Now, the interview coach also makes a really good point
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people will find encouraging.
Okay.
She says, look, a lot of successful employees at top companies
Yeah.
don't have perfect English.
Right.
So I think the big takeaway here is that clarity and confidence can often be more important than grammatical perfection.
I think you're absolutely right. The podcast we're referencing even mentions how interviewers can kind of see through
Oh, really?
false confidence
Well,
if someone's communication is really unclear.
interesting.
So it really does highlight that genuine confidence.
Yeah.
It really stems from being able to express your ideas effectively,
Huh?
regardless of a few grammatical errors here or there.
So it's not about being perfect.
It's not about perfection.
It's about communicating.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're seeing that perfection isn't like the be-all and end-all. But what about confidence? Because that seems to be a recurring theme.
Oh, absolutely. And it makes sense, right? When you are confident in your ability to communicate, it really can impact everything from how you present yourself in interviews
Oh, yeah.
to how effectively you collaborate with international colleagues.
Now, the podcast that we're looking at really dives into the psychology of this.
Okay.
They're saying that confidence helps you articulate your ideas persuasively,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps you handle those tricky interview questions with poise.
Right. Because think about it. If you're stumbling over your words and second-guessing yourself, it's really hard to project that image of a capable and competent professional.
But if you're speaking clearly and confidently, even if you make a little grammar mistake here and there,
Yeah.
it just shows that you're comfortable and you're focused on what you're saying.
Right, exactly. It's the content that matters.
Yeah.
And the interview coach actually offers a really interesting tip for boosting confidence.
Okay.
Slowing down your speech.
Oh, I've heard that before,
Have you?
but I never really understood why it works.
Well, when we rush, we tend to make more mistakes.
Oh,
And then that can chip away at our confidence.
okay.
But when you slow down, it allows us to choose our words carefully. And it reduces those errors. And it also gives the listener time to process what we're saying.
So it's a win-win.
It is.
It helps you be more confident, and it helps your communication be clear.
Exactly.
Now, Heine, in his YouTube video, also talked about this. He was like, look, interviewers can spot insincere confidence a mile away.
Yeah.
If your words are all jumbled and you're not communicating clearly, it doesn't matter how loud you're speaking.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between confidence and authenticity.
Now, this all ties back to that idea of continuous improvement.
Yes.
The podcast really emphasizes this.
Okay.
They're saying, look, Language learning is a journey, not a destination.
That's a great way to put it. And the encouraging thing is there are so many resources available to help people on that journey.
Right. Like Heine's old YouTube channel.
Right. Exactly. Like he has a whole playlist
Yep.
dedicated to this.
And even the Brazilian developer was talking about using tools like Grammarly
Yeah.
to refine your writing and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are all great examples of proactive steps that anyone can take.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also important to remember that while English fluency is incredibly valuable, in today's global job market, it's not the only factor that matters.
Right. We can't forget about those job-specific skills.
Yeah, exactly.
That experience.
And the podcast really drives that point home.
Mm-hmm.
They argue that English is often kind of like a supporting player to your core expertise.
Like with our Brazilian developer.
Exactly.
Like his coding skills were what got him the job.
Yes.
And his English is what allows him to thrive in that role.
It's a perfect illustration, right?
Yeah.
English is that tool that allows him to communicate his expertise, collaborate with colleagues, and contribute to the company's success.
This is so encouraging for anyone who is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The language part feels so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But like your skills and your passions are still what's going to get you there.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance between honing those English skills, but also continuing to develop your expertise in your chosen field.
So for our listener who is clearly motivated
Yes.
to improve their English and to unlock those global opportunities,
Right.
what are some of the most practical tips that they can take away from all of this?
Well, first and foremost, remember that perfection is not the goal.
Oh, I love hearing that.
Focus on clear, confident communication.
Mm-hmm.
Practice speaking slowly and choosing your words carefully.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to utilize those tools like Grammarly.
Those are great.
Yeah.
And I would add, seeking out resources like Heine's YouTube playlist
Yes.
or connecting with online communities of English language learners.
Absolutely. Those are great suggestions.
Yeah.
The key is really to find what works best for you and make that conscious effort to incorporate English practice into your routine.
It's about those small, consistent steps
Exactly.
towards improvement. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes.
Absolutely. Mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow.
Now, it sounds like our interview coach has even more. Yes, there, especially when it comes to presenting yourself confidently in those job interviews.
Let's dive into that in our final segment.
Okay.
It's all about how to highlight your strengths and your accomplishments in a way that really resonates
Right.
with potential employers.
All right. So we've talked about confidence, clarity, and continuous improvement.
Right.
But how does this all come together when you're actually like in a job interview?
Yeah, that's where the interview coach's expertise really shines. And what's so fascinating is how much emphasis they put on the way that you talk about your skills.
Oh,
It's not just listing off, I did this, I did that.
right.
It's about presenting those achievements in a way that really highlights their value to the employer.
So it's almost like you're telling a story.
It's like storytelling.
You're just painting a picture.
With your words.
Exactly. And the language you use plays such a crucial role in that.
Mhm.
And the coach actually gives some really specific examples. Like instead of saying, I worked on this project, you could say, I led a team that successfully implemented this project, resulting in X benefit for the company.
Okay, so you're not just saying what you did.
Right.
You're also saying what the impact was
Exactly.
and how it helped.
Yes. And notice how the language is so clear and confident.
Yeah.
There's no hesitation. There's no self-deprecation.
It's about owning what you did.
Yeah.
And being proud of it.
Exactly. And remember, even if you're still working on your fluency, you can practice structuring your answers in this way.
Okay.
Think about those key skills and experiences you want to highlight.
Mm-hmm.
And how can you present them in that compelling and confident manner?
And this makes me think about something Heine mentioned in his YouTube video. He was like, think about the vocabulary
Yeah.
that's used in your field. That's a great point. Having a strong grasp of that industry-specific terminology can really boost your credibility.
Absolutely.
In an interview, it shows that you're not just fluent in English, you're fluent in the language of your profession.
So for our listener
Yeah.
who is on this journey to use their English skills for global success,
Right.
what's the one thing you want them to take away from this whole deep dive?
I would say this. English fluency is a powerful tool, but it's most effective when combined with confidence, clarity,
Uh-huh.
and a focus on continuous improvement.
Yeah.
Don't get hung up on perfection.
I'll let it go.
Embrace that journey of language learning.
Yes.
And remember, your skills and experience are your greatest assets.
Your skills and experience are what got you there.
Again,
English is just going to help you go further.
knowing that companies value clarity and confidence over perfect English, what's one step you can take today to improve your communication skills?
Oh, that's a great question to end on. Maybe it's practicing those power phrases that the interview coach mentioned.
Yeah.
Maybe it's checking out Heine's YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's just committing to speaking English a little more often, even if it feels a little scary.
Whatever it is, take that step.
Yeah.
We're all cheering you on.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We hope you feel inspired and empowered to keep pushing forward on your language learning journey. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing.